Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Today we are going to talk about 3 different ways on how to cook rice. If you have a rice cooker, by all means use the rice cooker, but for those of you who don't, it's very easy to cook rice, and I'm going to share 3 different ways that'll make it much more flavorful, and in fact I'm going to focus on coconut rice. Let's get started right now. The recipe is basically for any white rice. If you're doing brown rice or wild rice, the recipe will be different. But for white rice, this is what we're going to do. And today, folks, I'm going to use basmati rice, but you could use any white rice that you like. In fact, I really like to use parboiled rice. But today I'm using basmati because I'm going to focus on coconut rice, and this is one of the better rices to use when making coconut rice. So you always start off, I'm going to start off with 1 cup of rice, and to our cup of rice, I like to, of course, pre-wash this. You want to wash it under cold running water. This has been pre-washed and ready to go. And the recipe is basic. It's 2-to-1 ratio. 2 parts liquid, 1 part rice. So I'm making 1 cup of rice. I need 2 parts of liquid. So the very simple way, use 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water. The other way, a little more flavorful, 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of broth, chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth. Either way, again, it's 2-to-1 ratio. But for coconut rice, we are going to use the same ratio, but we're going to add coconut milk. So I've got 400 milliliters of coconut milk here that I'm going to empty out into a container, measuring container. So get all of that coconut milk out. Spatula comes in handy here. Okay. Don't worry about if it's a little bit solid. You want all of that coconut milk to come out. So you get your 400 milliliters, which, as you can see here, is almost 2 cups. So to get to the 2 cup, I'm going to add just a little bit of water to bring it up to my 2 cup level. Just a tad more. There we go. All right. So now I have 2 cups of liquid, which happens to be mainly coconut milk, but a little bit, I needed that little bit of water to help bring me up to 2 cups. So I've got my 1 cup of rice. I'm going to add my 2 cups of liquid, in this case, as I mentioned, coconut milk with a bit of water. Okay, and now quite simply to cook the rice, I'm just going to mix this all together, and the solid part here will liquefy as we cook, so that's not a problem. Mix everything together, and now what we want to do is put our lid on, and we want to bring it up to temperature with the lid on. So right now it's going to sit. Let's bring it up to a boil. And as you're waiting for it to come to a boil, just give it a stir, make sure nothing sticks to the bottom. So now we have our boil. This is the time to add the salt. So for the recipe, generally 1 cup of rice, you add up to 1 teaspoon of salt. Again, it's salt to taste, but that's a general recipe. Okay, brought it up to a boil. But because the coconut milk has salt in it already, I'm not going to add 1 teaspoon. I'm only going to add a half teaspoon. So a half teaspoon of rice, or let's make that a half teaspoon of salt, mix it in, and then bring the heat down to simmer. Okay, so now it's down to simmer, and we're going to put our lid back on again. So what's going to happen is over the next 15 minutes, this rice is going to absorb that liquid, and we want it to be all absorbed. So just keep it on simmer with the lid on, and we'll come back in 15 minutes. At this point, you don't have to stir it anymore. You've already stirred it enough. You can just leave it, let it sit, and cook for its 15 minutes. It's now been 5 minutes, and I just want you to see it's still just simmering nicely, and we've lost some of our liquid. It's starting to get absorbed, so it's coming along very nice. We'll check in another 5 minutes. I'll let you see what it looks like after the 10-minute mark. It has now been 10 minutes, and if we take a look here, you will be able to see that now we have some rice starting to show because a lot more of the liquid has been absorbed by the rice, and we're starting to lose our liquid. So we're going to let it sit another 5 minutes, and we'll check in again at the 15-minute mark. And again, I have not touched anything. I've left the lid on, and I've had it on simmer for 10 minutes now. See you in another 5. 15 minutes has now passed, and as you can see, most of our liquid has been absorbed. At this point, if all of your liquid is absorbed, turn your gas off and let it sit for 5 more minutes. In our case, there's still a little more to be absorbed, so we're going to let this sit for another 5 minutes and continue to simmer. Okay, our 5 minutes is up. That's it. 20 minutes. Our rice is cooked. Time to plate this rice right now. As you can see, our liquid is all gone. Nothing is coming out. And our rice is perfectly cooked. Creamy coconut rice right here, folks. And there we have it, folks. Creamy coconut rice. Very plain white rice, but the flavor, amazing. And that's what I like now, folks, the taste test. I'll tell you what. Yes, sir. This is a great dish. It looks white, it looks plain, but because we use the coconut milk, it gives that coconut flavor, that creamy coconut flavor. Absolutely delicious. You really got to give this recipe a try. Cooking rice, in summary, very, very easy to do. 1 part rice, 2 parts liquid. Bring it to a boil, add your salt to taste, let it simmer for 15 minutes with the lid on, and then with the lid off for another 5 minutes. You want basic rice, use water. You want a little more flavorful, use broth as your liquid. And then the king of the rice, or the queen of the rice, if you want the coconut flavored rice, then use the coconut milk. All the ratios are the same. Fantastic. 1 cup of rice will feed easily 2 people, 2 up to 4 people, especially if it's used as a side dish. I really hope you give this a try. Cooking rice is simple, it's fun, it's delicious. We're going to enjoy this tonight. I'm going to have a little side of fish on the side with the vegetable and the rice. Going to make for a perfect meal. Of course, a little antipasto and a salad and an espresso afterwards, but with a biscotti. But that goes without saying. I want to thank you for joining me on today's episode of Cooking with the Koyas. And as always, until next time, buon appetito. Almost tastes buttery, but we added no butter. Amazing.